And good afternoon once again, boys and girls of the Model Railroad world. How y'all doing? Today I'm going to do a little program on I, how I do painting of tracks. They look so much better when they're painted. Yes, they do. You know that. But this is how I do it. I don't spray paint. Three reasons. Um, I don't own an airbrush. And when people do it with a spray brush or airbrush or can, it looks very monotonish. I hate monotone. I'm an artist, wannabe artist. And the other reason is my wife has very mild COPD. I'm in the basement right below her. No, I'm not going to take that chance. So what I do is I use a brush. This is the brush I use. It's a small one. I also use one that's just slightly bigger for doing the ties and stuff. Whoops, sorry. Buzzed out on you. That's all. Now, the paints that I use these little inexpensive things of paint. The colors I use are raw umber for the basis. To get some rust, I use nutmeg brown. It gives me a wonderful brownish rust color. To darken it up to make it look like grease and oil, I use what's known as pavement. Basically, it's a little bit lighter than Payne's Gray. Also, sometimes, just for the pure heck of it, I use something that's called pewter gray, just to lighten it way up when I get all kind of silly. Anyway, what I do is I'm going to be painting this track right here. I'll show you how I do it. I'm going to be moving this around a little bit. No, I'm not. My luck, it'd fall off and break my camera. Anyway, I put a little bit of paint onto the pallet. I'm cheap. It's a plastic plate. And I'm going to go from here a foot over to right about here, showing you how I do it step by step, and then how I go back and finish it, okay? What I do is I start on the other side and just paint the ends of the tracks that are sticking out on the outside of the tracks. On that side, I just paint over the top because you can't see that on the other side. I'll show you why I mentioned that in just a minute. I don't mind getting paint on the top because a bright boy takes that stuff off real quick and easy. So when that's done, I go back with this bigger brush and just do the inside of the ties. I do them one at a time, two, whatever. Depends on how wide my brush is. I go with the grain because sometimes when you get down to the third one, you can see that there's, well, you can't see, but I can, some black showing through. Yeah, I mean, this is easy. It's time consuming, yes, but it's easy and it's fun. And I have control over it. I tried airbrushing once and never really had control over it. It just wasn't me. And I just keep doing this. Easy done, not hard work. Oh, if you hear noises upstairs, I'm in the basement of my house, and got to remember chores got to get done. So you'll hear, number one, you'll probably hear the washing machine going, because it's a noisy old son of a gun. And also, right around the corner from me is the furnace. It's cold outside, so the furnace is on. It might kick in, it might not. I do not have the dehumidifier running because this furnace takes humidity out of the air wonderfully well. And this is all I do. I usually go one past the foot. When I'm doing this track here, I do the top, but I also do the ends. because the ends are very important on the visible side of the trackage because people can see what's going on there. They can see the ends and they look black when you got the ballast done. And speaking of ballast, there's going to be another video coming out in about a week on how I do the ballasting on my layout. Never fails. You never squirt enough, and then when you go to squirt the rest of it, it comes out in a big glop. There we go. See, and then we go down and just finish. And see, it doesn't really take long to get the ties done. Be right back. I got to go wash my brush. Okay. Now, what do is I take the smaller of the brushes, sorry about that, and I do the inside of the rail on the far track because you can't see the other side of it. Yeah, I know I should have done this before I put it down. I've done that before, but you never see the work from the other side. I do this. This paint does a good job of covering for the most part, but it is acrylic, and it doesn't like to stick to the nickel silver too much. You get to see all sorts of fun and games with that. And it will show through in silver. You can see on some of these in the backside, you see a little silver showing through. I let it dry because this puts a nice film of acrylic down. And once it's dry, you can go back over and change the colors all you want. Now, that's part one. But you have to let it dry, and it would be boring just to sit there and watch paint dry. I know, I do it enough as it is. So what I'm going to do is come down to some stuff that I did yesterday and show you. Sorry if that's making you ill. This is where I just left off, right in this area, okay? Now you can still see on there, you can still see the inner track that's got some sheen on it. It's annoying, to say the least. What do I use? I use this nutmeg brown. Of course, it comes out in a glob. And the pavement. If you look at tracks in the real outside world, especially in yards, you'll see a multitude of hues and colors and everything. But when you got this, if you paint them up, this gray gives me a really good covering. And if it looks oily, greasy, that's fine. You put a little bit of this down, it tones it down. You don't have to put it all over. That's the nice thing about it. Because that stuff is dried for a day or two, and it works out well in controlling the glare, in making it look like it's used. Come back in and put a little rust on it. Now remember, the inside of the tracks are the ones that are really subject to, inside rail, are really subject to the grease and that stuff off of the engines. Now, if you notice right there, excuse me, it's yellow. That's because I have a gap right there. What that tells the operator, you can bring an engine up to that point. Past that is a fouling point. And it also lets them know that the gap is there because they ain't going to go anywhere once they get to it. And What gets me is you got to here. Oh, there we go. Rail joiners are big on being difficult to get covered with paint. It's a different mixture. I'm looking under the camera right now, not at the camera because it ain't moving. And on the outside of the rail is more subject to the rust and grime. Your best way to look at this is go to a yard, being safe all the time you're at the yard, very important, and observing. Observation is key. See what it looks like. Heck, take some pictures so you got the colors down right. And then when you come back, yep, I got it. Then when you come back, just use a bright boy, take it down. It works wonders. It's really, really good. I enjoy doing it this way. Here's a couple spots. See, you can see it right there. I put a light on it from all different angles. You can water this stuff down if you want to, but when you get the ballast on, you really don't see too much of what's going on there. But you can always go back with this acrylic paint, touch it up, you get it on the rails, bright boy will take it off. So your best bet, observe what a yard looks like. Go look at one. It's no major biggie if you look at it, just don't cross. To me, it's really good. Ain't perfect. Nothing in railroading is perfect. Well, that's about it. I know this one needs to be done, but I'm not going to bore you with what I do and how I do it there because you already see what I do and how I do it there. That's it for right now. You all have a great day. Take care. Stay safe. And if you're in the northern climates, stay warm. Play trains. Enjoy life. Thank you. Goodbye.